They take and give lives as they see necessary. At first, it was just a distraction for me. I couldn't concentrate in class when I saw lifeless gray masses floating around the class, only to occasionally drop down and feed off the next victim. Usually, the victim would be the weakest, the oldest, or sometimes the strongest. I didn't really think much of them until I saw my 3rd grade English teacher go down like a sack of potatoes in the middle of class. Every other kid just saw their teacher going down, while I watched in terror as her body was enveloped in a gray, pulsating mass. By the time the paramedics arrived at the school, the teacher's body was completely still, and I knew she was dead. Up until then, I thought they were just distractions, but from that day, I realized that they were feeding off of us. Our lives were their feast, and when they are hungry, there isn't anything that we can do to stop them. The older I became, the better I got at ignoring them. It was hard. I would have to restrain myself from freaking out when I saw them latching onto my friends. I had to hold back my clenched fists as I saw one sucking the last bit of life my father had 2 years ago. I barely held myself back from swinging my fists into the air during my father's funeral. They were hovering around his tombstone, looking down with their lifeless heads at the death they had created. What threw me off the most was the fact that it seemed like at times they showed remorse. 2 years ago, they started speaking to me. It was while my face was buried in an endless pool of notes, studying for the SAT. One of them floated down from the ceiling and stopped right in front of my face. It slowly floated closer to me, and I jerked back a little. Before I could get too far away from it, part of it enveloped my head and I couldn't move. I started to panic, but the voice had spoken put my entire body and mind at ease. In a whispery voice, it said, "Don't go to school tomorrow." I didn't try to listen to it, but the next morning I woke up with a terrible headache. My mom took one look at me before telling me to stay home. The SAT was the next day anyway, and she figured it would give me more time to study for it. Around 1 in the afternoon, I received a flood of messages from my family and friends from different schools, all asking me if I were okay. Confused, I told them that I was fine. I just had a small headache. It took me a couple of minutes to piece together that there was a shooting at my school. I turned on the TV and quickly flipped to the local news station. The remote fell out of my hand as I saw the report. 8 dead and 14 injured in shooting at so-and-so high school. I looked up at the ceiling and noticed the gray masses were gone. I couldn't see them anymore, but at times I could still hear them whispering to me. Little hints here and there. Don't go to the party. Stay home. That party ended up getting busted, and a bunch of kids were arrested for underage drinking. Stay with your mother tonight. She died of a heart attack in the middle of the night, and I'm glad I was able to spend the last bit of her life together. Leave, Aka. She will be nothing but trouble for you. After I dumped her, she ended up getting with another guy a couple of months later. She stabbed and killed her boyfriend during an argument. The only reason why I wrote this out for you guys is, I want you guys to trust them as much as I do. They provide balance in the world, and there's gonna be something really bad that will happen in Miami, Florida on the 19th. If you live there, leave. If you have plans to go there for vacation during that time, reschedule or cancel. The estimated death count is at a little over 800,000. Let's try to make that as close to 0 as we can. This is Kinetic Symphony. If you've enjoyed this narrated story, Please subscribe and like the video to help me grow. Thank you.